She's funny, she's smart, she craves chocolate every day, and she is the Greek goddess of comedy. Here is your host, Ellen Karis.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Karis's Comedy Corner. My name is Ellen Karis, and we are back Zooming with a guest, our first guest in 2021. I'm very excited. I wanted to have her on for a very long time, so I'm really grateful that she is here. Before we begin, always want to thank our sponsors. Our first sponsor is Baywalk Marketing. Go to their website, baywalk.net, for all of your advertising and marketing needs. They can help you with any type of a flyer you want to design, your social media. They're experts in the Greek community. Go to their website, hollywoodgreeks.com, to find out where all the Greek entertainment is, and there will be entertainment. Please God. And HellenicFestivals.org to find out where there is a Greek festival near you. Baywalk Marketing is the company. Baywalk.net is the website. And our other sponsor is Select Flex. What is that? It's an orthotic. It's also called an insert, and you put it in your shoe. And let me tell you why these are the best. This is the best invention since suitcase on wheels, because it has an adjustability in the arch, and you can adjust the arch to firm, and extra firm. I see our guest is excited because it is so designed so well. If you are flat-footed, you should absolutely get these. If you pronate, you should absolutely get these. If you do any type of activity, you should absolutely get these. They are fantastic. They are better than anything else that you will find over the counter. And for Karis Comedy Corner listeners, there is a 25% discount if you type in the code FAMILY25, FAMILY 25. Go to their website, selectflex.com, SELECTFLEX.com. They have a 30-second video, shows you how it works. I'm telling you, you will thank me. All right. I am very excited because I don't know if she realizes this, but she really, truly is one of my favorite comedians, and that's in the male and female category. I've been watching her for years. I remember when I first started out, I was in awe. And then just as an extra awe, I find out that she is married to also a comedian, her husband, who is also fantastic. And so they're one of the few, not only are they called a comedy couple, but they're one of the comedy couples that have lasted and are still married to this day. So please, without further ado, she's been on everything, Last Comic Standing. She's got books. We're going to talk all about it. Kerri Louise. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that awesome introduction. That was, oh my God, I'm crying now. I'm clumped.
You're great. I adore you. I love to watch you. You have such energy. I am in awe of the fact that you married, you raised children. You were a comedian before, you were pregnant, you were a comic during, after, still. I don't know. I have no kids. I am married. I'm barely holding it together. So I don't know how you did it. And you've had I love your career. And
thanks.
I came in at I had my interest in it in the late 90s, and I took a comedy class and all that. I didn't really kind of get on to really go out and meet people till 2002, which is probably when around the time that I met you. And there was so much going on at that time. Montreal was really hot, Montreal Comedy Festival, Aspen Comedy Festival. There was just a premium blend. Comedy Central had a lot of, it just feels like a lot more stand-up specials.
Right, those were the days.
Right, and
Marshall's Women in Comedy Festival.
The which?
Marshall's Women in Comedy Festival,
yes.
The Toyota Festival, Bud Light Ladies of Laughter Festival.
Yeah, and you were on all of them. That was my whole point in saying all this, is that you were on all of them. And Last Comic Standing, which went on for I think 9 or 10 seasons, meaning different time, not necessarily years, but seasons. You were there was that the 3rd season or the 4th season?
I was and not many people know this, but I was the 2nd season. And the reason why I didn't do the 1st season was because I did the pilot. I got the pilot the same day I got can I tell the story? The same day I found, the same day I found out I get my first pilot, what every comedian wants, a first, I'm getting a pilot. I got the pilot. The same day I found out I got the pilot was the same day I found out I was pregnant with twins. Same day. Walk out of the doctor's office in awe, butterflies in my stomach, literally 2 butterflies in my stomach, because I knew I was pregnant, but I was just going to the doctors to confirm everything. And he's like, this is interesting. I'm like, what's interesting? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Because I see this like little diamond ring. He goes, there it is. And then he turns the little thing and I could see it on the monitor. He goes, ooh. And I look, I'm like, that looks like another diamond ring. And he goes, yeah, that's interesting. I'm like, oh, and I just knew it. I'm like, oh my God, what are you saying? And he goes, it looks like you're pregnant with twins. And it was so early on, it was only like 2 weeks. Not only was just confirming, he was just confirming I was pregnant, but he had the sonogram and it's New York. He's like, yeah, let's do this whole thing. And then he confirmed that I was pregnant with twins. And he's like, look, it's early on, a lot can happen. You know, you're only 2 weeks. This happens normally, you know, you might just have one. In another 2 weeks, let's just wait it out and be quiet and whatever. But I still had to tell my husband. I'm like, oh my God. I walk out of the office and the phone rings. It's my manager. Oh, you got the pilot. You have to come back to LA to film it in 2 weeks. And it was called Comic House at the time, and it was still with Jay Moore. Right. I had auditioned in LA. I was in LA when Tom and I just got married. So this is how quick it happened. We just got married. Let's go to LA. We had pretty good management at the time, and I did too. I was managed by the same manager as Tim Allen, and he was managed by the same manager as Ray Romano. We were the power couple going to LA. Pilot season, we're gonna get something. You know what we got? Pregnant with twins. That's it. We were doing nothing. That's all we were doing all afternoon was yoga, because you know that was the key in LA. You get kicked out if you don't do yoga. It's a thing. Seriously. So we were just doing yoga and having sex apparently. And while we were there, we didn't want to get pregnant right away. You know, I wanted a career. And so we said to ourselves, you know what? We're not going to get pregnant right away. Why don't we just, you know, let's just play around and have fun. So the first time ever not having any protection whatsoever, just having fun, boom, pregnant with twins. I knew exactly.
What are the you know, you're Lebanese and you've got that that strong duplication gene. That's incredible. I didn't realize that. So what year was this exactly? How long you're married? Like,
so this was 01.
01. So 20
I got married in 01. So between 01 and 02. Yeah. So yes, I got married. Yes, 01, right. So so I had a plane ticket. So I got this audition. I had 3 months to be in LA. I had to push. We did nothing until the very end. I get this audition, and then I get a call back. I had to push my plane. I had to pay for my plane ticket to be pushed back. I had to pay for a change. I'm like, this couldn't have happened a week ago or 2 weeks ago when I was sitting around doing the downward dog position and doing nothing. You think that? Yeah. So I had to pay to get that. Money was really tight. I had to pay. So I couldn't go home with my husband. And so this is what happened. This is why I got the job. Because you know how it's like, it's down to you and someone else. You know, it's like you're second up. You always screw it up because that's all you're thinking of. And you're like, you get in your mind. Well, I didn't think of anything because I knew I was pregnant. And you know Kerri, right? She was out there.
Yes, of course. Yes.
So I'm like, you got to do my hair. So I go to her house. She goes, oh my God, look, you know her, right? She's like, great. Oh my God, look at your boobs. Did you get a boob job? What's going on? And I knew there were pregnancy boobs. I just knew. You know how when you just know, you know your body. Right. So I'm like, oh, it's just the bra. But meanwhile, I'm like, oh my God, if she notices it and I notice it, I totally think I'm pregnant. Tom had already left. I didn't want to take a pregnancy test because we were going to do it together. So I said, just wait till I get home. I'm going to do this stupid audition and I'm going to go home. So I do this stupid audition and my mind is I'm pregnant. I think the pregnancy boobs helped me get it too, but whatever. That's beside the point. My mindset was different. I wasn't even thinking. I wasn't thinking I have to get this job. I have to get this job. And that's why I got the job.
Well, you were relaxed.
I was relaxed. I was like not thinking of this. I'm thinking I can't wait to go home. So I do the audition. I fly out the next day. And then the next day I go to my doctor's office. Then I get the call. You got it.
That's incredible. That's crazy.
It's crazy. So I had to go back and film for 3 days called Comic House. Doug Stanhope was there. That's how I met John Heffron, and he won my year. So the 5 of us that were living in the house couldn't do the first season, so we had to do the second season.
Got it.
And plus I couldn't do the first season. I had just given birth. So when I did the second season, my boys were just turning 2. Twin boys turning 2, doing this whole thing. Yeah.
I remember watching it because I watched the first like 3 seasons, and then I'm sorry everybody, but I lost interest after that. Or maybe I lost the 4th season or something. You know what it was too? I think they kept changing it around, and then there was a gap, and it's just television 101. I mean, you just start to lose, your audience. But
it wasn't really Last Comic Standing. It was last what are they? Last Client Standing.
Right.
Whoever was, yeah.
Right.
That's what we were nicknaming it.
Right.
We were nicknaming it Last Client Standing.
Right. Well, as comics, also we had a little inside intel as to exactly what was going on. So, and honestly, I know they show the lines and all this, but quite frankly, most people had an appointment. No one's standing up, not standing on that line. But anyway, but I remember watching you, and they do the backstory, and they interviewed Tom. So Tom Cotter, by the way, for anybody that does not know, is Kerri Louise's husband. Very, very funny. I watched Tom many nights and just loved him, loved his humor. Tom to me is a throwback, as you are in a sense, but I mean it from the male perspective. He would have, to me, he would have fit in the 70s. He's very clean, very, very funny, very play on words. I love his style. I love that style. And I'm sorry, I remember watching it, and then I remember there was a clip and the boys were running around in the house. You guys were chasing, and I'm just sitting there going, just twins? Like, oh my God, like I can't even have a day job and do this at the same time. Like, I don't know how this woman's doing it. But anyway, you were great. You killed it. I remember too, there was a moment where you were like really putting your heart out in one of those backstories about wanting to do this and always wanting to do this. And I mean, look, I try not to do for a woman it's tough and whatever, but I'm sorry, that is the reality. It's just tougher. It doesn't mean the men are horrible. It doesn't mean we hate men. It's nothing about that. It just is what it is.
It is what it is. And I see it firsthand because I'm married to a guy, and I see how easy it is for him. And and I hate to throw the woman card, but let's just call a spade a spade. And I wrote a book since then called Mean Mommy, and it talks all about that. It talks about all my excursions with the twins. Like when the phone rings for Tom, he just says yes.
Right.
He automatically says yes. I can do it. Yep, no problem. With me, when the phone rings and they ask if I can do it, it becomes like a math problem. It's like who can take care of my boys? Who's home? Who has a driver's license? Who can take them to the practices? Who, whatever level I am at this thing. And is it going to be too late for me to come home? Is it going to be worth it? Can I go? I know they don't pay. Is it going to pay my babysitter plus? Is it going to, if it doesn't pay, is it going to, am I going to catapult to my career a little bit better? Is it worth leaving for a week to come home to a complete, utter mess? And I have to reteach everything with my kids and interrupt their whole routine, which some guys don't understand about the routine. They don't understand what you've built time after time. If you leave for 3 days, forget it. That whole thing can crumble. And sometimes it's not worth it.
I'm assuming you and Tom have talked about that. Like, well, what is his reaction to that? I mean, he's a very hands-on father, but when that happens, like what's his reaction to that?
Yeah, he's a typical man too. It's like, really? No, unless he doesn't really see the thing. Like he doesn't see dirt, it's the same thing. He doesn't see crumbs.
It's just, you know what? It's in us. It's just the way, it's just the chemistry. It's just the way it is.
Right. So, and for instance, like if I leave him home, he can only watch the boys. He cannot multitask like we can, it's like, and if I say, can you get the boys' haircuts? What? That's not in the plan. I'm like, I'm making the plan now. Get the hair, on your way to dropping them off to basketball, you just go in and get a haircut and then come in. No, they cannot. You can only keep them alive.
Interesting that you're saying this. And by the way, Karis Comedy Corner, we just fly into all different conversations. In that, we don't have any children, but I do. And, like Tom, my husband's a great guy and all that. And, we're very lucky women and, we're not trashing them, but my husband has no patience. He has no patience. So when it's that, oh my God, I had to wait for so long, like he'll have a meltdown. It's a little like a temperature. He needs a timeout. And it's like,
right.
Okay, I'll stand online. Why don't you, I'll come and I'll stand online and you just go home. Like that kind of thing, like that, no patience. That is a huge thing. And that's sort of the same thing with the multitasking, like, wow.
Right. Oh yeah. And when they say they have and again, we're man bashing, we don't mean to do this, but still it helps to know that you're normal. But that when they say, I have a million things to do today, I have a million things to do. That means he's has 1 or 2 phone calls. He goes to the gym and then the post office. We do that in our sleep. Right. Like the 1 or 2 phone calls are done on my way to the post office. I do the post office and done. Right. It's just how we're wired. Now, yes. You are both from Massachusetts. What part are you from? I'm from just south of Boston, Massachusetts, called Easton, Massachusetts, and he's from Providence, Rhode Island. Oh, okay. I thought yeah, they're so close together, even though we're from different states, because it's only for me to drive to his clubs where he started out was only a half an hour. For me to drive to Boston is only half an hour. So I'm kind of in the middle of all that stuff. And then he started out in Providence doing comedy. Then he moved to Boston, but we still do that New York, Rhode Island, Boston, New Hampshire type, the New England area. Right. So how did you guys meet? Yeah. So that's how we met. We met in New Hampshire. Well, we knew each other for like 3 years. You run into each other. We knew each other in the circuit for 3 years. He was a little ahead of me, and he was the big, headliner. And so this one gig we did in New Hampshire, they paid us in ski tickets. And so I took it. It was New Year's Eve, I remember, and I love it. And my New Year's resolution was not to date any more headshots. Anybody with a headshot, like to date someone normal for once. That was my New Year's resolution. And so I wanted to go skiing. None of my friends could go skiing. They couldn't get it off. So I called him. I said, "Hey, you skiing? Because they're paying us in ski tickets." He goes, "Yeah, I'm planning on skiing." I'm like, all right, well, me too. I'll bring my skis. And I knew him enough to be friends. We were just like kind of friends. I'm like, I just didn't want to be alone on the mountain, so it just, so I don't die on the mountain, someone to know. So he's like, my whole family's going, we're going to go. And I'm like, all right, I'll just bring miraculously, for some reason, his family didn't show up. And it was just him and I on all day, just skiing together. And I fell in love with him, and I'm like flirting with him, and I'm like, stop it. Remember your New Year's resolution. Do not. And so here's something quick I'll try to tell you. Very funny. While this was my flirt technique. While we were on the chairlift, I said to him, I said, Tom, put your tongue on the side of that just to see what happens. He's like, no, I'm not doing it. So every time we went on, I kept on saying it, because that's what we do, comics. We just milk it. So I milked it, kept on telling him every time. Christmas Story, right? It's Christmas Story, but not only that. So hang on. So we were having such a good time. Instead of going home, we were supposed to go home because we were done. He goes, hey, my parents have a chalet. I'm going to stay the night. Do you want to stay? We can go to the movies or something. And I'm like, all right. So we go to the movies, and lo and behold, and we didn't know this, the movie that year was Dumb and Dumber. I don't know if you ever seen that movie, Dumb and Dumber, but they went on a ski date. And on the ski date, he put his tongue there, the same exact place, and it got stuck. Now, Tom and I were seeing this for the first time, and I'm like, we were on the floor laughing so hard in this movie theater in New Hampshire. And I'm thinking, oh my God, it's fate. This is fate. This is fate telling me I should go on one more date with this guy. So nothing happened. Mm-hmm. He was a perfect gentleman. And the next day he paid for my gas and he kissed me at the gas station. And that kiss That was it. That's what did it.
Oh, that's so sweet. What a nice story. And then that was it. I mean, and then we just started dating, and then how did that I mean, how was it juggling? How long were you in comedy for at that point?
So I was in comedy about 4 years at that point. We dated for about a year, and then together we moved down to New York. He got he signed with an agent, a voiceover agent, and we moved together in New York, and we lived on a 6th floor walk up.
So did you go to school? Did you go to college or?
Yeah, I went to school in New Hampshire. So, and I was a skier.
So what did you major? Like, what did you?
I majored in elementary education. So it's so funny when you're like, and she's doing this and she's still doing it. It reminded me of my mother, because my mother still thinks that this is a hobby for me, and that someday I'm going to get a teacher's job. I'm like over 50 now, Mom. And she still's like, there's teaching jobs back home.
Yeah. Well, here I'll give you one. I am a CPA. I mean, I don't practice ananore. So I worked in public accounting, and then I got an MBA in finance. And I worked on Wall Street. So I gave all that up, all those bonuses and all those 401ks. But it's true that, so you're, Lebanese, very traditional background, very, very Greek, very similar. My family still to this day, so like around now, because now it's the winter, they'll be like, wow, it's tax season. You must be really busy. Just, okay. All right. Right. Okay. I'm glad everybody pays attention. So no, I get you, I get it. I do admire, because my family, my sisters have come, they've come sporadically, but I did envy the people whose parents really, were there and really supported them and came to every show. And, the mothers like buy the merchandise table. And it's just like, okay, that is not those are not my parents. That's for sure. So, but what was it like when you told your parents that this is what you wanted to pursue?
My mom, and I remember it, and she's right. I hate saying this, but my mother was right. Early on, I was in my 20s, and ambitious and dumb, and I guess good dumb, because if I knew what I know now, you would, same, I'm sure, with everybody, you just wouldn't get in. You wouldn't have gotten into it.
I say that you've quoted, that's one of the things I say the most. If I knew what I knew, I wouldn't have done it. I'm glad I didn't know. Naive. Yeah,
naive. A good naive. And look, I would not wish this upon my kids. Every time they say something funny, I secretly laugh. I don't laugh out loud. I will not acknowledge that they are, and they are funny. They are funny. And they know it, because I'll use their jokes in my act. So, but I try not to tell them that they're funny. So my mom said, "Oh, Kerri, it's like winning the lottery." And I was like, what? No, I'm going to work hard. I'm talented, and I'm going to work hard, and I'm not going to be like everybody else. I'm going to work hard. And she's right. I see some comedians who work 10 times harder than me, who are 10 times more funnier than I am. Their writing is spectacular. Brilliant, brilliant people out there. Tons. I can name like 20. And some of them have gotten out of the business. Right. Some of them haven't gotten the due diligence they deserve.
Right.
Some of them are still, you've seen it. We've all seen it.
Right.
No rhyme or reason.
There is, you have to have the talent, or else you're not going to get past, the 4th or the 5th year if you really want to make something of this. Okay. But there is an element of timing and luck. I mean, look where we are now with COVID. I mean, if we got into it now, let's say we were in our 2nd or 3rd year, I don't know what would we have done. I mean, and by the way, we didn't have this type of technology when we first got in it.
Oh yeah.
And the and by the way, before everybody's like, oh, old, the technology has just advanced so quickly, with the social media, with all that. I mean, we all had websites and stuff, but it wasn't obviously to this, we wouldn't be able to do any of this. So it's just, so luck. So just all of these things that are either are happening now, and just, again, right place, right time, being on a show with somebody being there, happen to be there to see you, that knows somebody,
Right.
that knows somebody. That's why, like, you always, for me, I try to, as much to be out as much as possible, and be honest, like, I like being around people. I'm a people person, but it doesn't necessarily mean I want to be out all the time. I'm not a big drinker. I'm not into, all that kind of stuff. I'm more like you, I come in, I'm professional, I'm friendly, I want to do the work, I schmooze, I chat, I like to get to know my peers, and that's it. And I'm kind of done. And then you develop a little bit of a friendship or whatnot. But but you have to be out there. It's not going to happen in your living room and all that. So it's a lot of energy. And then again, that's where the element of luck, timing, what they're looking for at that particular time. As we know, this is a young person's business, even though now there's such huge talk about diversity and ageism and whatever, but no.
Right.
Like, I know we talk a good game, but no. And let me just mention too, if people have not seen it, a fantastic show on Showtime on demand is Women of a Certain Age comedy. And you were on the first or the second? Did I see you?
First season. Yeah.
You were on the first one, right?
That with Fran Drescher, and it's still, it is still streaming now on Showtime, so you can watch it on Showtime. The first and the second season is on. And she also got that onto Sirius XM during this pandemic, which was great. So now it's on Sirius XM.
With our friend Carol Montgomery, who's been on our show many times, and she's come to promote the show. The reason I got confused was because I saw you. I went to the second taping. The first taping, actually, I was in Florida, or else I definitely would have been there. But then I saw you when we spoke, so that's why I got confused for a second. But I watched it
to help out. I was helping out.
Yeah, you were backstage, right? Yeah. But I watched it, so I mean, I remembered you, I remembered your set and how funny it was. So Carol had created this, which is genius, but it's still a struggle, and now too, like, again, when you got into it, it was such a, like, when you were in it to a point where you were able to play the clubs, you had gotten into the festivals, and now it's like a different, like, COVID aside, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the clubs were closing. Like, I find for myself, I do a lot of private stuff. I've got a little bit of the Greek community, or I say a little bit, I do a lot of things in the Greek community. There's just not a lot of Greeks, like if there was many Greeks as there were Indians, I might have a career like Russell Peters. You know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
We don't multiply for some reason. So, a smidge. But I do private stuff, that's really, and I'm okay with that. I mean, it's fine. I like entertaining, and it's fine. But, back when you were doing it, and you were past at a lot of clubs, and they were, again, the Aspen Comedy Festival, just what we were talking about in the beginning. And these things, like, they're not existing, or they're like online, even before.
Right. They're not going out to the clubs. There was a time when it was so much fun to be a comedian. I don't know whether it's because I was younger or the times, but it was everybody would go out to, they used to call them, the late night show Letterman auditions, or the Tonight Show auditions. It was mostly a lot of the Letterman auditions because they were in New York at the time, and everybody would go. It would be like a festival, a little small festival, like on a Tuesday night, because you would go to support your friends. And you would go also, not only you had an underlining meaning for going, because you knew that the industry were going to be there, and you would just rub shoulders with some of the industry. No one goes out anymore now, even if they have like new faces or any type of audition. The industry won't be there, because the industry don't want to go, because they're going to be accosted by all these open micers. But it was fun. It was like a Christmas party in the middle of the week, in the middle of winter, or when nothing else was going on. And those were happening all the time. And that's how we networked. That's what we relied on.
It's what made showbiz. It was because someone like me that I worked in the corporate world, which is what I loved about it was the opposite. You can be free, you can be creative. You were out, it wasn't stodgy. It was completely different. And I mean, there's still a huge business element of it. But I completely agree. I used to love.
It's so different.
I used to love going out. I wasn't necessarily on. I would just go out to watch somebody if I knew that they were at a club. And I mean, it did start to, again, even pre-COVID, it did really start to change. And there's a lot of shows that are produced shows, as they call them, the bringer shows. And I understand they're a necessary evil. I'm not putting them down, but that also kind of changed the dynamic of the shows themselves.
Right.
And when you were talking about Letterman, I remember that was like on my bucket list. I really would have loved to, I know, big surprise, but I really would have loved to have done a Letterman or something like that. And I remember when he packed it in, I was disappointed, although the reality, aside from obviously being very difficult to get on, he didn't have many women at all.
Yeah.
So that was like its own thing.
And there was a little write-up about that too.
Was
with Eddie Brill and so on. So
there was. Now, did you
again, it's a little, it's just yet another setback that we had to overcome, but whatever, it is what it is.
Did you ever, wait, I know Tom has done, what has Tom done? Has Tom done Letterman? Did Tom do?
He did warm up for Letterman.
Okay.
He would fill in and do warm up for Letterman.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Yes, and he was told also. He was told not to touch David Letterman. This is how I don't like. I mentioned Eddie Brill, but I don't know behind the scenes if he was all in behind the scenes too. Right. He was just the booker at the time. So the article maybe came all down on him as well, but I doubt it was all him.
Right. I agree with you. Yeah.
Okay.
He's a comic supporter.
Yes. Right. And I love Eddie and he's a great friend of mine. But he's the one who told Tom, don't touch David Letterman. When he comes down, he doesn't want anybody in, and I get it. You don't want to be disturbed. I don't like to talk to people before. He doesn't want any interns, no one in the elevator, no one in the hallways, and you can't touch him. So they knew this because one of the warm-ups that filled in for Eddie touched, shook the hand. You turn over the mic and you shake it's a habit. You shake the hand. And he wasn't told not to, he just did it and he got fired the next day. No one told him not to, but they found out why, and then they told Tom, he's very particular. So of course, why have a woman? Because we're very crazy and we have issues and blah, blah, blah. So if you're particular about one thing, don't have a woman.
This isn't, again, it's pick on David Letterman, but since we're talking, and since we're being honest, I find it very interesting that he did what he did and he was a good interviewer, and I'm not taking away any of his talent, but as a person, he was very, he was a very difficult person. He was not woman friendly, and again, the rumors of whatever harassment, whatever affair, his business, his business, but it ain't professional. And he, I won't say who this is. I'll tell you when we're not recording, but there's a famous person that was on television that told me a story. I was at a dinner, so it wasn't just me. Told me a story of how they were on Letterman and he was just, he hated himself. And he was just doodling like hateful language, on a piece of paper on his desk. I mean, he was a weird guy, but it was, with all that said, it was very disturbing. We're talking about, the 90s, 2000s. We're not talking about the 50s, that they didn't at least give some women a shot. I believe the only woman I heard that he liked was Paula Poundstone. Somebody said that to me. Again, I don't know if that's true or not. But anyway, if you ever see the lineup, you see that, it was mostly men, and it was obnoxious. It was like so. I don't know if Corey Kahaney ever did it.
She did do it. She did do it.
Right? She did. Toward the end,
but she had a very hard time. I don't know. her whole story, but she went around the back way to get her tape. She did some, which is great, but she was at it for years trying to get that. And she is so funny. And her tape from that is amazing. So funny fun fact, Tom and I, we had a little hiccup in New York City and we broke up for about a year, and the whole comedy community was devastated because we're friends with everybody. Right. So I would show up and they're like, oh my God, they're like, oh, we love you. We love Tom. Tom just left. Can't you guys just, for us, can't you just get back together again? And so when we broke up, Tom said, I'm like, what's going on? Cause it was at the time, we needed to make a move. It's been a long time. We gotta get married or not. He goes, I don't know if I want to get married. I think maybe, I want to be, he goes like, have a career like David Letterman. And this was before David got married and had a kid. Mm-hmm. I said, fine, go ahead. He's miserable. Miserable. Fine. You know what? Go ahead. Have Letterman suck your, right. I'm done. Right. So I remember that. Now let's fast forward to, and I think Letterman has changed, and he has admitted that he has changed. Mm-hmm. And since he got married and had a son, Harry, who I have a son now, Harry. So I couldn't wait to get on his show to compare notes. Never did either. But I do think that he has changed. He doesn't hate himself as much, and I think that his son has a lot to do with it. And it's true. When Tom got this gig, they were honoring David Letterman at the he got the twin what's that award?
Mark Twain.
Thank you, Mark Twain Award. So Tom had to do research because he was doing warm up for that show. So we had to do research for David Letterman, and he found something very interesting. He's like, "Come here, honey, I want you to read this." And it said that of everything, what he regrets the most is not having kids sooner. Mm. And he, alluded to the fact that he's a much better person and he really worked on himself, right. This, that, and the other. Maybe there would have been some more women on the show if he had started that earlier.
Right. I mean, he had a lot of power. They wanted him, more than anything. And, really kids ground you. But he marches to the beat of his own drum. But anyway, he's had a great career, and I would have taken a smidge of, of what.
Right. But you don't know all these stories of the talk shows. You don't really know behind the scenes. I mean, the whole stuff that went down with Ellen, and I heard that Rosie O'Donnell was a real bee to work with. But you know what? You don't know everybody's story, and his story. You don't know. You're in a huge network. You're the face of the network. You have to answer to a lot of people, right? And a lot of people who have money and power, and you would not be there if you don't say yes to these people, right? And so I can understand you being a jerk, or if things aren't run right, because it comes down all on you. You're the face of it.
Right.
So I'm sure it's very difficult. So it's probably hard not to come off across as a bitch, but you are the face and you need perfection, and you have it to answer to a lot of higher ups.
Yeah. Well, it's too bad David Letterman didn't have a daughter, because that really would have taught him a lesson. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Bring your daughter to work day would have been so
right. Exactly.
If you could only have done it earlier.
So we have to know, how did you and Tom get back together?
So from a personal level, I'm really glad that Tom had read that, and and he is too, and he knows that he made the right decision. He was really happy. So it was a year that we were separated, and we kept on running into each other, which was, bizarre, obviously, because we were in the same field. Mm-hmm. And he knew he made a mistake the day he made the mistake. Mm. We were moving out, and he was moving out. I was helping him move out. He moved out down the block. Yeah.
Oh, that's some breakup.
Yeah, that's some breakup. And I kept on running into him,
that's so funny.
It was really weird.
That's so funny.
So we basically, he came to the conclusion. So I said, look, I'll give you a break. I won't pressure you for marriage, but know that my eggs are getting old. We're old. We're old. I started off very late in life, and I don't wish this upon anybody. You know, really, we women, we want a career, and we took the path.
The window for that is like this.
Yeah.
You know, men's window is like this. Again, not, you know, it's not your fault. I'm just saying. And yes, I realize now there's science and all this. Not everybody's comfortable with that. That doesn't always work out the way you want, you know, want. So that's not exactly like, well, if I don't, I do, but it is, it's a short window. And that's why I admire you. I mean, you have the career, you had the children. Me personally, I sort of postponed that. And I just felt like, no, till I need to get to the next level. And this was also sort of like in my day job. It was all about working and money. And
that's where we were coming from, though. That was our thing,
right? But by that time, I was like, it was really like way past. And then I was with my husband for quite a while before we dated. Before I was like, all right, I'm ready to get married. It was funny when I said, when I was ready, I was ready. I was like, that moment. But it took me a while and stuff like that. I don't want to blame it all on my parents, but had they fought a little bit less, maybe it would have been a little bit more inviting. You know what I mean? Like a little less, little less screaming and yelling, and maybe I would have been like, "Hey, this is cool. I'll sign up for this." So, but anyway, a lot of drama.
Right. But I hope that the next generation, I really do hope that it changes, but it's also your generation too. Our generation was, we're women, we're powerful, and we're going to, make some changes. And we did. And for the better. And we are making a name for ourselves, and we're in the work field, and it's great. And also I think it is changing because women now we can work from home. Mm-hmm. And so we can have children earlier. Now before it was like, it's one or the other. Now you can do it together, or you can do it now early, mm-hmm. and still have a career after. It's not so black and white anymore, especially now with COVID, and you can work like this and still have a baby right there by your side and still be feeding the baby and in a meeting.
Right. Well,
there's better rules too.
Yeah.
They're much better now with where you can feel comfortable going out on a job application pregnant.
Right. No, maternity leaves and all that, that type of stuff that, unfortunately they had to put things into law to get companies.
Yes.
And I'm not very big on, the government getting involved, but in these situations, it's like, but who's going to have the baby? Women are having the babies. That's it. That's, right. You need to have some kind of flexibility of some sort. So with all of that, and I think the next generation, and if I had girls, but my boys are going to have girls, I hope, and that's what I'm going to tell them. Don't wait, because you're too tired. You're supposed to have them when you're 19. Right. Well, not really, but that's how it was back in the day, because your lifespan. So your body is supposed to have them when you're 19. Correct. Or right.
But hopefully, obviously they need to be a little bit older, and but so I hope the next generation listens.
So you have your twin boys are now 19?
18. Yeah, they just turned 18. They're seniors.
Did they graduate?
They're going to graduate this year. Okay. And I hope to God they have a prom, and I hope to God they have a lacrosse season. I'm going to be devastated if they don't. So,
and you guys are living outside. I won't say where you live, but I think I know where you live. You're living outside of the city, right?
Yeah, it's just about a half an hour northwest of the Hudson.
And it's very lovely. I know exactly where you live. What's happening? And then wait, I'm sorry. And you have another child. So then you have another son.
Yes.
We haven't talked about.
Yes, he is 13 and in 8th grade.
How is all of that
just
going?
Like his daddy.
Is he really?
Yes.
He's a copy of Tom. So how's that? So what's going on? So we are 9 months or 10 or almost a year into this fakakta thing. You've got kids in high school and junior high.
I feel like a diner.
What is happening?
There's no schedule. I feel like I'm a diner. Everybody's waking up at a different level. You know, the kids don't, you know, they're doing Zooms when they want to. Everybody is, and then my husband is home a lot. Now you know, the reason why we lasted so long, that we're married so long, is A, laughter is great, but
right.
B, he was on the road half the time.
Right.
Now he's home. Everything is messed up. He has a messed up schedule. I can't wait. I just need a little bit of peace. I never have the house to myself. I can never clean the house. I can never keep it clean. I can complain. I'm not going to complain. These are great problems. If you look at some of the other people of what they're going through. So I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to tell you I'm fine.
No, listen, that's okay. We don't judge here, and I get it. As a matter of fact, we moved apartments. So
okay.
So I mean, why not? You know, pandemic, and the lack of work. Well, let's move. But anyway, it ends up being honestly, it's a better situation, and we have a little bit more room, and it was a better deal, and all this other kind of stuff. But it's like chaos around here. So like, I get it, and like what you were saying, and again, you have kids, so it's on a more magnified level. So I don't have kids, but I have one sister that lives in the city. She's got a 16-year-old, 14-year-old. The other one lives in Jersey. They're also, 18 and 17 and 12. So, I get, like, I know what they're going through. And it is hard, and it's just, they're in school, they're not in school, they're this, they're that, they're not. So my one niece is doing good in remote learning. And I'll tell you why, because behaviorally she was a horror, and she was always getting in trouble. And because she's home now, and last semester, and she wasn't distracted, and now she's 16. So she's calmed down. I mean, talk about the hormones were raging. Oh my God. So that's calmed her down. And the fact that she's home, she's not, my sister's not getting that call about she cut class, she's not there, she went to the nurse, So for her, it worked. But for the rest of them, I mean, the 12-year-old, my sisters, and the other one, they're like, my sisters are like, they're not learning.
Yeah.
And they want to go to school.
I know. That's the joy. My kids every day. I can't wait to go back to school. I want to go back to school. Yeah.
So I'm assuming they're in school.
Oh, that's the thing. They're all in lacrosse, all of them. So if they don't have a lacrosse season this year, they didn't last year.
They canceled it. We
don't know yet.
Because I have a cousin in Westchester, so she has 3 boys also, again, I'm like involved in their lives. And they are doing some sports. They're doing, I think they're doing lacrosse, because I know that one of them plays lacrosse.
Yeah, they're practicing outside. They're still keeping them busy, and we're just hoping that they have a season. We're just hoping that they don't. And a prom. This is the, I thought when my heart went out to the seniors last year, and I thought, oh, thank God.
Right.
Great that we missed the boat, but it doesn't look, and who knew that this would last this long, and that we're going into the spring and summer again with the same issues and the same problem, and whatever.
What about college?
So isn't this great timing? Talk about timing. Both my husband and I are unemployed. Basically, we're not working. This was our year and I had just come off with, this nice showtime. My kids, can stay home alone, but without me getting in jail. So I'm going to work. I'm going to work this year. And we're going to bank our money. We have 2 kids going to college. Done. Both my husband and I are not making. And we're taking it day by day.
Right.
We're applying for help and loans, and we'll see.
Right.
I'm not going to let it worry me.
Right.
We're just going to, like I do everything else. Look, Tom and I, we look back at our times when we first moved to New York on a wing and a prayer. Didn't know anything. Like I said, that naive, that was great, that great naive, we're going to make it. Like Mary Tellamore, throwing my hat, taking it, and living on a 6th floor walk up. Look, we know we can do it. Those were some of the best times of our lives. 6th floor walk. That's when I found out I was pregnant on a 6th floor walk up. We had to move. Oh, what do you do?
Right.
What do you do? So we did it. We just did it. I don't know how we did it. You just do it.
Right. You'll survive.
Well, like, I'm pregnant. We had 9 months to figure out a better place to live with an elevator, and got all the gear. And we weren't expecting twins. I thought that maybe I could live in my 6 lock up with my little baby, one baby, and and have another 2 years to figure out where we're gonna move.
Are they identical, your twins?
No, fraternal. They're same and different in different ways. So it's going to be like that. We're used to it, Tom and I. I think we're used to the struggle. And I think that's why with comedians, we're always looking for that next job. So
Right.
During that break, like 2008, when the whole market crashed,
Right.
and people were committing suicide because they couldn't deal with the money and all the lot, you were in that world. So it's very stressful. Like, even being a comic, you're stressed, but at least we're laughing, we're always looking for that next job. That's just the way we're wired, the way we know how to work. So when that crashed, I'm like, what? That's what I'm used to, looking for the next job. So now this is another crash, and we'll make it through. We'll plow through. We may have to sacrifice a few things here and there. Maybe the kids can't go to their number one school that they wanted to go to, but we'll get by.
We're having conversations because one of my nieces is looking for schools, and my nephew was at a school, and he wanted to transfer out even before COVID. So it had nothing to do with it, but the timing was, I guess, worked out. So now he's going to go more local, and he's going to stay home, which is good. And then my niece, my sister's like, listen, if she's not going to get the college experience, and if it's going to be online,
right,
she can stay home. I mean, what is the point of going or going on campus? It's one thing, because I have another friend whose daughter is a junior or a senior. So she went back, but she already has friends there. She established herself. If you're just going, what is the point? I mean, listen, this is unprecedented times and we're adults. We can process it, and we're going to find ways to survive and everything. It's for them, like, because I mean, take yourself back when you were 18, 17. I mean, yeah. Aside from, and I want to ask you this question as a person, as a comic, and as a mom, I mean, the social media, the news, so we're recording this, and again, we won't get into the whole thing, but yesterday was the whole thing in the Capitol, whatever. And it was, of course, awful. It was, no matter what side you are or whatever it is, it was awful. I don't know what possessed who these people are, where they came from. I don't know. And everybody was on and this and that. And I was like looking and not looking and looking and not looking. And then I woke up and I'm like, when we have a lot of these big news, I mean, that was a really big news day, but like a big news day, same thing with the elections and stuff. It's hard because as an adult, as a taxpayer, as an American, as a concerned person, as an aunt, I want to, I don't want to be completely disconnected, but in the same token, it's like, it's going to wrap up your whole day. It's like, I do have some virtual gigs I want to write. I've got this, I've got, again, we moved. So, I've got a lot of paperwork to do. I don't want to get like consumed with all this. So how are you dealing with it with yourself, you and Tom, and also like we want to know what's going on with comedy, and you're always looking to see who's working, who's doing what, who's right. As we see, a lot of our friends are doing virtual shows where I've done a ton of them, and also with your kids, and how are you? This is sort of like a 10-part question, but how are you monitoring them and all of things, because when we grew up, we did not have the exposure to so much, and I'm no prude, but you know what? I'm of the mindset, let kids be kids. You don't have to tell them everything. They don't have to know everything, and if they're having some kind of an issue or whatever, they'll come, you'll know it as the parent, and you'll deal with it. But, but it's just sort of like this all in one, and again, I'm not trying to be insensitive or anything like that, but the kids in elementary school, they're talking about gender and this and that. And again, I am not putting anybody down, and my heart goes out to kids that are struggling, but that's not exactly the majority. And I think that those sometimes are situations where they should be more spoken to, dealt with on an individual level. I just think I see what my nieces are learning in school. It's too much adult information. Teach them math, read the classics. There's so much beautiful reading and literature out there that they can learn. Math, science. There's so much. You know what I mean? They'll learn all those other things. It'll happen. I think the collective we are doing a disservice to our kids.
Absolutely.
Putting way too much on them way too early.
It's absolutely right. And I had this conversation, my 13-year-old had it again this morning. And he goes, I know I can't vote. I know you always say I can't vote, so I shouldn't be. I'm always telling him, Tommy, what are you doing? They're getting their news on TikTok. Okay. And he's spewing these things out of his mouth. I'm like, where are you getting this? Sometimes it's from their friends. Sometimes it's from their parents, their friends from listening to their parents.
Right.
And I'm like, my parents never spoke about what's going on, this, that. I heard a little here and there, but they should not. I said, Tommy, you need to be a kid. You're a kid. You can't even vote. So you worry about this later. Right. Why are you stressing about this? Be a kid. And he's like, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I like that he's interested in it. I like that he has opinions. This is all good and great, but don't let it's getting him down. It's stressing him out. And as far as the news and how your question about your 10-part question, 1A, when I first got pregnant, I kind of stopped watching the news and just getting the cliff notes from Tom because I was so depressed. It was getting me depressed, and the hormones. And I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen to my kids? And like, you're just going crazy. It was so depressing. And it was doing me a disservice. It was like stuff. I do want to be a good citizen and know what's going on in the world. But I would sometimes at the end of the day, and plus I was busy, just learning about what was going on inside of me and with these kids and learning and then day to day, just having twins, I just had no time for the news. So sometimes I'm like, just give me the cliff notes, give me the important stuff. I don't really need to know who's killing who these days.
Right. I mean, so much violence, and it's graphic, right? Because I mean, again, we had the 3 channels and we had the newspaper. Right. I mean, now they show everything and cursing and yelling and stabbing and blood. And it's like, oh my God. It's so graphic. It's so disturbing.
And they have it in the palm of their hands.
And to me, that causes more violence.
Thinking that that's okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm like,
and you don't have girls, but you have friends that have girls. I mean, when I see the girl, one of my sister's biggest fights with one of my nieces is the shirt up to here, the thing.
And the dancing and the 3 minutes of porn that are at my boy's fingertips.
Right. And again, everybody bear in mind, we're comedians, okay, but we're also grown adults. The music, which forget the sound, forget that the sound has no sound. Okay. I love dance music. That's sort of my thing, but the language, I work out. I work out, and I went to this dance studio for a long time. I love the workout. I love sweating, and as we get older, 5 almonds equals a pound. And but I couldn't stand, aside from the fact that it was so freaking loud. But the language. And one day, we were working out. We were doing sit-ups, right, as a class. And I'm listening to, we're like winding down, so we're supposed to doing sit-ups, and then we're going to stretch, and the music and the lyric was suck my, and I said it out loud. I go, did I just hear, and later I said to the instructor, who's in her 20s, And I said, Alyssa, I got to tell, the cursing that I go, and again, I'm a comedian. I have a really high tolerance for language, but now when I'm working out and it's like the music, it entices anger. So I said, did you hear that lyric? She goes, oh no, I just listened to the beat. I said, you need to listen to the words. I'm like appalled. I'm appalled. It's disgusting. So I don't know. What do you?
Well,
you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, the place of business for her should they shouldn't allow the explicit. She should download the non-explicit. But I cannot believe the things that I hear that my son is listening to. All this rap, and they hear it all the time because it's not hidden anymore. They can just do you remember the days when I think the Brady Bunch couldn't sleep? The Brady Bunch were the first people who got to sleep together in one bed, the first sitcom. But the other sitcoms, they were all separate. They couldn't even, they wouldn't allow you to be in the same bed. Now, have you seen 2.5 Men and what they get away with?
All of it. And that's like the regular, right? That's like the regular TV, like the one that's
regular TV
okay,
mature.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
And
go ahead.
Yeah. And these the rap songs that my kids are listening to, and they know everything. And my 14-year-old, 13, he's 13. He's not even 14. He's acting like he knows so much that I did not even, can't even. What's gonna happen when they have kids? Everyone's just gonna be walking around naked.
Right. And
we're
in entertainment. That's not the entertainment that we do, but we're in entertainment. But I blame the music industry. I blame, listen, I know that, Beyonce is the queen as she's, held out and stuff like that. But and I'm not saying she's not talented. She's talented and she's beautiful. And I don't take any of that away from her, but her music, if you listen to the lyrics.
Yeah, I know. The number one hit song is Wet Ass Pussy.
Yeah, it's like I can't.
Who sings that?
It's gross. And what's interesting? So again, since scrolling on social media or listening, and people go, "Oh, it's great." People, families, when they talk about like what's positive that's happened, we've been able to do puzzles. We'll watch movies. We'll make s'mores. Yeah, exactly. Things that can relax you, that bond you, conversation. Again, you and I grew up with families, the coffee and the cake with the Danish, and the gossip. And it was just such a fun way to communicate. The Odd Couple was on New Year's Day, and so many people wrote on Facebook how great, oh my God, so classic. And, and we were watching it and we had it on in the background. And I was like, this, first of all, if they did it, it'd be completely remade, it'd be with like Mario Cantone and like a skinny Jonah Hill. And, they'd have all kinds of issues. And one of their kids would be.
Didn't they remake it? Didn't they remake The Odd Couple?
I think so, with Matthew Perry or something.
Yeah.
But it was just like, but everybody loved that one. They loved the one from the 70s. It's just really incredible. But getting back to your kids and the kids in my life and stuff, I feel bad for them because they're it's gross. It's just gross. And it's evolving. It's like, and now with all of this, you can't like reel it back.
Right. And the only socialization that they're getting right now is playing Fortnite or these video games online with these kids. So it's like I don't want them to be online all the time, but that's their only social.
Right, I know. And then now school's online, so they're constantly in front of the screen. I have this joke about my nephew being playing Call of Duty and how violent all these video games are. And I'm like, I said, but when he plays them, he doesn't even, and I'm only telling you this because you're a mom, he doesn't even flinch and they're so violent. They should make video games for teenage boys that would scare them, like mow the lawn, take out the recyclables, or maybe get up before 4 o'clock in the afternoon, something that really would be alarming.
Yeah. And they're so realistic too, these video games.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad. But let's talk about, before we wrap up, what do you have going on? What are you going to have going on after the pandemic? And talk about your book, because I didn't realize. I knew you had your yummy mummy. Which, by the way, let me just say this too, okay? I do adore you, but a little annoying that you have this smoking body and you've had 3 kids, twins no less, and you look amazing always. Oh, you have not. So I've known you for about 20 years, and you have not aged, not one iota.
That's not true.
I am putting that out there.
Thank you.
But I didn't realize that you wrote a book as well.
So I wrote a book called that I called It's Mean Mommy, because I think we need more. Go back to, it's all about getting back to the basics of being we're gonna cook one meal and you're gonna eat it, and that's that. But it's how I juggled the 3 kids and Tom, 4 kids, and doing everything. And then I wrote a book, Harry the Elephant Has an Allergy, a children's book.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So that's
When
also.
Did you write that? When did you write that?
I just published this last Christmas, and right before the pandemic, I was reading. I have a whole scheduled for me to author read in front of all these schools, and then that got shut down. So,
that's great.
And it's illustrated by a comic. So a very funny Jimmy Carroll comic illustrated it. These illustrations are so cute, and he made it so much fun. It was really fun to work with him. And this is dedicated to my son, who's allergic to egg whites and peanuts.
Oh,
and
that's a great book.
Yeah.
And that's available on Amazon?
Yeah. Yes, along with Mean Mommy. And my husband wrote a book called Bad Dad. So Mean Mommy, Bad Dad. My kids they need therapy.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's great. Oh my God.
My CD is Yummy Mommy. My first CD is Yummy Mommy, and my second CD is Funny Mommy. So that's what I've been doing during this pandemic, is getting all these CDs together and online. And I wrote my book, Mean Mommy, 5 years ago, but during this whole pandemic, I turned it into an audiobook.
Oh, okay.
So I reread, which was the hardest thing to do, by the way. Read my own writing. Reading out loud is hard, and videotaping and recording my voice is hard because I can't stand my voice. So I had to, and so now it's all in the editor. The editor has it all. He's just cutting it and putting it together, and I'm ready to go on Amazon with that. So that's what I've been doing.
Oh, all right. So that's great. You know what? But that's perfect. Like,
yeah,
I just find when this whole thing started, not knowing that it was still going to continue, I was like, I got to be creative. I got to, because that's what else are you going to do? I mean, sitting, and again, going back to watching the news, forget it. I'm not doing it. I'll watch the number. I'll hear about it. I actually also had written, I was in the midst of writing a children's book. It's for the Orthodox community. It's about godparents.
Oh, nice.
Well, you know what?
So great.
Well, this is about you, but I do want to tell you, and I'm saying this only because I appreciate what you did. This is a proof copy. I don't have it yet. So
cool.
This is about special people. I don't know if you can see it. Special people in, maybe I'm doing it in the background.
Yeah.
I don't usually use a background, but anyway, special people in the godparents in the Orthodox community.
Yeah.
And I used an illustrator, and I had a little bit of an issue. I won't get into it, but I'm self-publishing it on Amazon.
Nice.
So I'm having an issue with Amazon, but all this to say that, and I have started probably 20 books of my own that I have not done anything with.
Yeah.
So I give you and Tom major props for writing it, publishing it, getting it out there. It is a special discipline that you need to have to be able to do this. You have to sit down every day or whatever the days are and say, I'm going to work on this. I mean, I give you a lot of credit. That's great. And that book about allergies is awesome, because that's
Yeah.
That's so common.
It's so common. And
yeah.
It's not a how-to. It's really just a funny little easy way to start a conversation about allergies. And it's funny. It's obviously because, I'm a comic, but I just made it fun. And
but also with, for the kid, because my one, cousins, so I call my nephew, godson, he has the peanut allergy. He grew out of it a little bit, and now it's just, I don't know, certain nuts, although they keep him away from all nuts. But in the beginning, it was milk, it was all this stuff.
Yeah.
And now he's 12. He's such a good kid too. And, they still, he's getting older now, but, as when they're young, they feel weird. They feel like, so-and-so couldn't bring the cupcakes because they have the allergy. So I think that's a great book.
Yeah, it just normalizes it. It talks about the peanut-free table. He was the only one, and the peanut-free, and it just makes it fun and normalizes allergies.
Yeah, that's great. That is great. So your website is kerrilouise.com.
Correct.
And where can we follow you on Instagram, Twitter, all that?
All of that. I'm Kerri Louise Laugh, Laff, on Twitter and Insta. My boys say it's called Insta now. Yeah, I'm not good at it. Every time I do a post, Mom, I get a text right away. Mom, take it down. Not funny. They're like the Insta police.
But at least you have a technology department. You know what I'm saying? Like having the kids, if not for anything, when you have a bad day, just think about how much backup you have in that they can help you with all this.
Yes. I'm always saying, you're not my audience. So what? It's not funny. Take it down. So I got a text once that said, Mom, not for nothing, but your Insta was not even a word after that. It was just one of those throw up emojis. So I took a screenshot. At least I knew how to do this. I took a screenshot of that, then posted that on my Instagram, and that got like thousands of likes. So boom, drop the mic there.
Someday, don't you want some days when you're sitting there and you're like, and sometimes I'm like, I just want to make people laugh. That's it. That's all I want. Like in person. Like, I just want to write a joke. I just like do all this stuff. Or sometimes I'm posting something about what I ate. I'm like, this is so narcissistic. I can't stand it, but you got to be out there. You got to be out there. I mean,
I know. And then once you learn a new thing, like I think I finally have this down pat and I know how to do this. It changes. Or this new TikTok thing is on. I haven't gotten on TikTok. Tom's on TikTok, and that's his new nickname for me. I'm like, hey, TikTok, what's up?
I'm not. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done. I can't.
I've reached my year. I'm done. I'm drawing a line in the sand.
Right. I only can do 1, 2. I'm going to post to 2 social medias. I can't do, because then you're going to be posting to this and this and this and post it to this. And then they don't make it easy that you can just do it once. You have to change the algorithm, and you have to change because it won't look right. The picture won't look right if it's not in a certain, square inch. You got to change that.
Kerri Louise and I are available for parties, corporate showers, retirement, divorce.
Yeah, we just sounded like 2 old hags.
Right, post-COVID.
The music's too loud. I can't. Did you just hear? If we just heard this podcast, we're so bad, and it's too loud, and I can't get onto another social network. We're like that commercial, The Progressive. We just turned into our parents.
Well, right. Oh, yeah. By the way, speaking of Progressive, the flow from Progressive is the only one that's working. By the way, I don't know how that woman keeps making these new commercials.
Right. Would I just kill for her career?
Right. Oh God. But when we moved, I had like 2 boxes of icons, holy water, palms. I'm like,
oh my God.
I went right to my grandmother. Like I flew past I'm like right to Yaya. Like right to my great grandmother. Like,
that's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
I'm just, that's it. It is, like I said, I can't go as, I know Cher did a song about, if I could turn back time. Well, I can't. So I'm just like hoping I don't look, too decrepit by the time we're out of this fakakta thing. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time. You are lovely. I always enjoy being around you. You have such a good aura. You're smart. You're funny. Follow Kerri Louise, follow her on Twitter and Instagram, and follow her and go see her when she's back at clubs.
Yeah,
entertaining.
You too.
And Tom Cotter, also her husband, who is fabulous. Look them up. There's lots of stuff on YouTube to entertain you. So,
and your hair got long during the pandemic. It looks gorgeous.
Thank you. Well, somebody did blow dry it yesterday, but yeah, it did get long. I don't know what to do anymore.
Nice.
It is what it is. And the ponytail, it's what it is. It is. This is it. This is all we get. So, but you, my dear, beautiful.
You.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Hopefully we'll see you on the road. We'll see you at a live show.
And go to Amazon and buy those books. It's very entertaining. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And I'm Ellen Karis. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Greek Chick Comic, Ellen Karis Greek Goddess Comedy on Facebook, and my website, ellenkaris.com, where this podcast and other podcasts that I've done with other fabulous people live. And thank you so much. Till next time. Bye.